Welcome back, everybody. My name is Abby. Today, I want to show you a few alternatives for backbends if you have spinal fusion. The first thing I want to show you is an alternative to locust pose. It is called half locust pose. So it's going to start out on our bellies just like a locust pose would. And instead of lifting our whole body into a locust pose, I'm just going to lift my upper body. So I'm going to keep my feet down, pubic bone pressing into the mat. And then just with the strength of my back, I'm lifting as high as feels good, no higher than that. So for me, it's about here. Shoulder blades are drawing onto my back. There's a lot of strength going on in my back body, but I'm not trying to find a big, deep back bend. If I had a longer fusion, I might even be here, a little closer to the ground, using a little bit more shoulder strength. But either way, I'm just lifting with the strength of my back. I'm not pushing myself up, nor am I trying to lift my legs. The next pose I want to show you is an alternative for bow pose or dhanurasana. It's another belly down back bend. For this, I'm going to start out the same way that I would for half locust. I'm going to come down to my belly, arms by my sides. I'm going to start by lifting into half locust, just as high as feels reasonable. And then I'm going to bend my knees, flex my feet, and draw my heels towards my glutes. I'm still pressing my pubic bone really firmly into the ground, reaching my tailbone towards my heels so that my lower back is as long as it can be. And then I'm only going to stay as long as my body says that is good. So that was enough for now. I'm going to come down and rest. Maybe give my hips a little jiggle side to side. And then I'm going to repeat that same thing. So lifting my upper body, half locust, bending my knees, flexing my feet, drawing my heels in. And it doesn't have to be super close to your butt, but the intention is to fire up the hamstring muscles and then stay with that strength. So instead of taking my hands to my feet as I would for regular dhanurasana, my hands and feet remain distant lovers. The next pose I want to show you is a modification for sphinx pose. So for this, I'm going to use a bolster, or you could use regular pillows if you don't have a bolster. And I also like to have a blanket. So I'm going to place my bolster lengthwise on my mat. And then I'm going to take my blanket, roll it up, and I'm going to use that for my knee comfort. I'm going to take that under my ankles so that my kneecaps are not going to be smushed. And then I'm going to fix this up here so that it's underneath my belly and chest. So then once I'm here, I'm going to parallel my forearms, lift my heart, let my knees be bent if that feels like enough, or I could straighten my legs. If I'm straightening my legs, I just want to be mindful that I'm not feeling too much of a back bend in my lower spine. So bent knees is definitely gentler. But if you want a little bit more of that back bendy feeling, you can straighten the legs. So I'm still in a gentle variation of sphinx pose, but I'm not feeling like my back is too bendy. It's not a big, deep back bend by any means, but I'm still getting kind of the benefit or the feeling of being in sphinx. The last pose I'll show you today is an alternative for wheel pose. So for this, you can have a block, come onto our back, and then once we're down, we'll lift the hips up, slide the block underneath, rest the hips, and restorative bridge is how it'll start. So you could even just stay here. This could be totally enough. It's not much of a back bend. It's not much of a stretch for the front body, but it is a similar shape and it can just feel nice. So stay there, reach the arms overhead. Both of those could be nice options. But if you want a little bit more sensation of length throughout the front body, here's what you can do. You can take your right knee, we'll do both legs, we'll start with the right knee in, taking my right knee towards my chest, and then gently starting to extend my left leg, reaching through my heel. Right away, I already feel a pretty strong stretch in my left hip flexors. My hip flexors are pretty tight, so you may or may not feel that. And then, keeping my right hand at my right knee, I'm going to reach my left arm alongside my ear and just get really nice and long from left heel to left hand. So it's kind of like I'm in a super, super gentle wheel pose with my left side. I'll stay here for a few breaths. And then whenever I feel moved to, I'll come to the other side. So bringing my feet, both feet back to the ground, and then taking the left knee towards my chest, keeping my spine long, starting to gently extend my right leg, reaching through the heel. Leg does not have to be totally straight, but straight enough to feel like you're opening up some space in the front of the right hip. And then the right arm can reach up alongside the ear. Left hand continues to hold the left knee. Stretch from your right hand to your right foot. Breathe nice and wide. And then when you're done, you can bring your right foot back in, drop your left heel to the ground. And then when you're ready, lifting your hips up, sliding the block off to the side. And of course, that can be paired with a bridge pose. Bridge pose is a totally great pose too, as long as it works for your body. It does not, for me, create quite as much length in the front body, especially up around here in my chest and neck. So that first alternative can be nice, a nice lengthening pose that is different from bridge pose. But either way, those are a couple alternatives to a wheel pose. That's all for today for backbend alternatives for spinal fusion. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful and useful, and I'll see you soon.